What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. There are a lot of Pokemon out there that fall through the cracks, whether it be for just being kind of bland or performing poorly in battle, or sometimes it's both, as such is the case with Delibird. This Gen 2 Pokemon has flown under the radar for years now, which isn't that surprising since Santa does that all the time, but is also surprising because it's a Santa Pokemon. Side note, I think they intentionally made Christmas-based decisions when making Gen 2, because they had Christmas themes back in Gen 1, and they had to use Jinx and Ponyta, so then they invented Delibird and Stantler, so that they had the proper options, and I believe it was quite intentional. But regardless, Delibird is often made fun of or forgotten. So, a while back, I did a video on how we could possibly improve the unknown. They didn't take any of my advice, but it's still available to them should they wish to do so. But let's see if we can't try and do the same for Santa's little helper here. So, just to start off, this isn't an improvement necessarily, but I do have to point out the name. Everyone calls this Pokemon Delibird, which would be fine if it worked at a Subway. I'm fairly confident that its name is supposed to be Delibird, as in delivering something. After all, its classification is the delivery Pokemon, so it makes a lot more sense than making sandwiches all day. Again, it's not a huge alteration, but it is by definition something to fix. Okay, on to more practical things. One of the easiest possible fixes for this Pokemon is its hidden ability. See, naturally, Delibird can have the ability Hustle, which raises attack at the cost of accuracy, or Vital Spirit, which prevents the Pokemon from falling asleep. But for its hidden ability, they gave it Insomnia, which prevents the Pokemon from falling asleep. You heard that right, this Ice-Flying type already had the option of staying awake, but they gave it a second one just in case? It's completely absurd. I imagine the development team simply forgot about it and just tossed a mildly weak ability onto there, not bothering to research for 2 seconds to see that it already had the same thing with a different name. So obviously, changing the hidden ability would be the simplest fix that would go a long way. Even something simple like Adaptability would help, or even Thick Fat to alleviate its fire weakness. Or even the Pickup ability would be something, then at least it would have a good use for its tail sack. And speaking of, this is where it keeps all of its presents, as I'm sure you're well aware, since this Pokemon is well known for having a poor signature move. But the worst part was that Present was its only move that it got in its level up moveset. Now this was mitigated slightly in Gen 7 when they finally added Drill Peck at level 25, so that is a step in the right direction, but it could still use a lot more. Because it's not like it couldn't learn TMs this whole time. If you wanted to give it more moves, you always could, it would just never do so on its own. So you could waste all of your good TMs on this weird holiday bird, or you could just pick a Pokemon that already had decent moves and isn't stuck with a disadvantaged type combination. So adding some more moves through level up would have been a great help. It doesn't matter quite as much now since TMs are reusable, but today it still could get status moves like Charm or something just to help out a little bit. Because it wouldn't have even been such a problem if Present weren't such a literal grab bag of a move. Present has a probability unlike any other move in the game, where it can either be 40, 80, or 120 base power damage with decreasing likelihood as it goes up, or there is a 20% chance to heal the target by 1/4 of its HP. That's not good. If Hydro Pump accidentally healed the enemy every so often, you really think people would use it? But Delibird fans, of which I'm sure there are some, would have no choice, again, unless they wanted to use a bunch of TMs. I get the idea that you never know what you'll get when you open up a present, but still, at the very least, could we get the type of present to change to ice or flying? Because right now it's a normal type move. So if we could at least get some stab power behind it, that would be a little better as the only move that it could have through level up. We've seen moves that used to be normal change before, so could this Pokemon have its most defining feature at least benefit it a little? If that's too much, then perhaps we could do something else, and give Delibird a second signature move of some kind. As we mentioned earlier, this Pokemon is basically the animal form of Santa Claus, so perhaps we could continue along those lines. Something like a move called Naughty or Nice. That is similar to Present in that it could hurt or heal, but it would be more controlled. So if you use it on an enemy, it would cause damage since they're naughty, and if used on an ally, it would heal them for being nice. Well, I guess it's actually another version of Pollen Puff. Actually, that would work perfectly, except you could probably use it on yourself, too. Something like that would not only help Delibird in its level up moveset, but also not rely so heavily on random chance for its signature move. And it could still even do variable damage if you wanted, just so long as it was a stab move with ice or flying. I am by no means a competitive player in any regard, but I feel like these are just the simplest of tweaks that could be made for a Pokémon that is so underrepresented and forgotten as Delibird, and lift it out of obscurity so that it's not completely abandoned outside of its gimmicks. Although I guess we could always hope for a regional variant with an evolution of some kind, but the odds don't exactly seem in our favor. At the very least, could we buff its stats a little bit if it's never going to evolve? Since right now it's pretty much an embarrassment as a standalone Pokémon. We could do this for so many other Pokémon in the future, but as of right now, Delibird is definitely in need of some assistance. How would you try and fix Delibird, outside of getting rid of them? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!